This is part 2 of the series breaking down my interpretation of Adam 22's full body of ink. Thanks for anyone who watched part 1 or is watching this video. I believe Adam 22 is not only pushing a satanic agenda, but also a white supremacy agenda. I will get further into this throughout this video. Don't let Adam act like they have no meaning or they are just art pieces. He has very specific tattoos. And most of them fit into the same agenda, so the chances of that being random are mathematically impossible. Lord, I pray you bless everyone watching this video and keep them safe with your anointed Holy Spirit. Please, like, share, and subscribe with post notifications so you can keep updated when I upload. Today spiritual warfare is really heavy in the world. Tattoo 8 is a Baphomet, or the goat of Mendes, covering the right top hand of Grand Mason. Baphomet usage dates back to at least the 1090s, as it appeared in a Crusader's letter. The name itself wasn't what it is today. Many theories are posed on this, including it may be related to Islam, as chroniclers referred to mosques as Baphumarias. Some think Baphomet was corrupted from Muhammad, an alternate spelling of Muhammad. Many theories out there of how true name became to be, but regardless, this is the earliest dating of the symbol. Attention picked up though when Frenchman Pope Clement V ordered the arrest of the Knights Templar in 1307. In 1311 a church council voted overwhelmingly against suppression, and Templars in other countries other than France were found innocent of charges. Clement, under pressure of Philip IV, suppressed orders of the church and confiscated all property of the Templars. Templars were tortured and confessed to the worship of a pagan idol called a Baphomet. Knights who confessed to the power structure were reconciled to the church or monasteries. Those who failed to confess were put on trial and were found guilty. Last to be found guilty was Grand Master Jacques de Molay. They gave him life in prison, and when he protested he was burned at a stake. 18th century Freemasons claimed to have received in a secret line of succession esoteric knowledge the Templars left. Templars were identified as Gnostics and accused of conspiracies, including the French Revolution. Baphomet fell into obscurity for some time but was reborn in 19th century. Eliphas Levi published a picture of a Baphomet in his book Dogmas and Rituals of High Magic. A human-goat amalgamation referred to the sabbatical goat. The depiction would influence the Rider-Waite tarot card image of the devil. In some occult, mystical, or religious traditions, Baphomet is a deity that represents the sun of the universe and all opposing forces. In 2014 Baphomet was brought back to the public when the Satanic Temple, a political organization promoting the separation of church and state, offered to donate a statue of a Baphomet to stand alongside a monument of the Ten Commandments outside the Oklahoma Supreme Court. In 2015 a statue of the figure was unveiled in front of Detroit's Satanic Temple. Seen both on the forehead of the Baphomet and on the throne behind him, the pentagram is a widely recognized satanic symbol, and often appears inverted. 2 fingers on the right hand point up and 2 on the left hand point down, meaning as above, so below. These words and the accompanying gesture are familiar to occultists. They are drawn from the ancient works of Hermes Trismegistus, whose writings became popular during the Renaissance and Reformation. Levi's Baphomet was a hermaphrodite, with breasts, but we took the breasts off, says Greaves. The temple did not want to get embroiled in a debate about gender, which might distract from what it believes are the more important messages of the Baphomet. Instead, he says, the boy and girl reflect that male-female dualism seen in Levi's Baphomet. The torch of knowledge is the middle horn, it glorifies the pursuit of knowledge. We put a high value on that, it's really central to our beliefs in general. The flame of intelligence shining between his horns is the magic light of the universal balance, the image of the soul elevated above matter, as the flame, whilst being tied to matter, shines above it. On the front of the statue, above the inverted pentagram, will be one of the Satanic Temple's 7 fundamental tenets: the spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. The back of the stone slab will display a passage from Lord Byron's dramatic work, Cain, that reads, "Then who was the demon? He who would not let ye live, or he who would have made ye alive forever, in the joy and power of knowledge." The first picture is of Levi's Baphomet drawing. The next image is a statue in a secret ceremony in Detroit. The third image is a bronze statue that stands 8.5 feet tall with 2 small children on both sides looking up to the Baphomet. In 2014 the Satanic Temple offered to donate the Baphomet outside the Oklahoma Supreme Court. The Satanic Temple withdrew the request to place next to 10 Commandments, and now the statue resides in Salem, Massachusetts. Salem, Massachusetts, probably most famous for the witchcraft at the witch trials in the late 1960s. This picture would become the bedrock of the first Satanic church, and the circle is called the Order of the Trapezoid. The movie Baphomet that premiered in 2021 starts with the Richardson family celebrating their 28-year-old daughter's pregnancy. The ceremony is interrupted by a Satanic cult member pays visit on behalf of cult leader to offer to pay the family a large sum for ownership of some of their land. The father rejects the offer, which turns the cult into putting curses onto the family, trying to force them off their land, even if they have to murder them to get the land. After visiting a white witch, they realize why it's so important to the cult and do everything they can to protect their property at all cost. This next series comes straight from the Church of Satan website. Most of three following information is directly copied from their website to give the history of the origin of the sigil of Baphomet and its use in the Church of Satan. There have been many rumors and claims regarding this symbol, and here we recount the Church of Satan's discovery and use of this powerful image. Prior to the worldwide press given the Church of Satan and later the publication of the Satanic Bible, the now familiar goat/pentagram/Leviathan graphic had not been used as the prime symbol for Satanism. Our younger readers may find this hard to believe, but it is a fact. Examine the literature and imagery predating the founding of the Church of Satan in 1966. Satanism is usually denoted by inverted crosses or crucifixes and blasphemous parodies of Christian art. There are also images of goats and devils and demons along with their sigils from grimoires, all used to represent the satanic. However, the complete graphic, which we now call the sigil of Baphomet, only became associated as the foremost symbol of Satanism in the public and media consciousness after the founding of the Church of Satan and Dr. Levy's use of it. From its inception, the Church of Satan has been constantly spotlighted in print, film, and television media all over the globe, so this was to be expected. The word Baphomet dates back to records of Templar trials, and there are ongoing discussions concerning its derivation and meaning. However, there is no clear evidence that the symbol which we in the Church of Satan call Baphomet is similarly derived. The evidence, if any, has not yet been released in any public forum. The sigil of Baphomet became associated as the foremost symbol of Satanism after the Church of Satan and Dr. Levy's use of it. The unholy genesis of the sigil of Baphomet. A discussion concerning the symbolism of pentagrams is contained in Eliphaz Levi's Dogme et Ritual de la Haute Magie, 1855-56 and 61, translated into English by A. E. Waite under the title Transcendental Magic. There are no accompanying illustrations. Here is the English translation of the quote. Chapter 5. The Blazing Pentagram. The pentagram, which in Gnostic schools is called the blazing star, is the sign of intellectual omnipotence and autocracy. It is the star of the Magi, it is the sign of the Word made flesh, and, according to the direction of its points, this absolute magical symbol represents order or confusion, the divine Lamb of Ormuz, and Saint John, or the accursed goat of Mendes. It is initiation or profanation, it is Lucifer or Vesper, the star of morning or evening. It is Mary or Lilith, victory or death, day or night. The pentagram with 2 points in the ascendant represents Satan as the goat of the Sabbath. When 1 point is in the ascendant, it is the sign of the Savior. By placing it in such a manner that 2 of its points are in the ascendant and 1 is below, we may say the horns, ears, and beard of the hierarchic goat of Mendes, when it becomes the sign of infernal evocations. The pentagram or pentalpha is a symbol which has long been affiliated with demonic activity. From at least the early Middle Ages, an entire genre of ritual magic handbooks and manuals has claimed to originate from King Solomon, based, no doubt, on his legendary reputation for conjuring and employing demons in the construction of his temple. Among the oldest of these grimoires is the Testament of Solomon, dating from perhaps as early as the 1st century BC. This text includes a diagram of the pentalpha and relates that Solomon had a ring inscribed with that symbol which gave to him the ability to call forth demons and to have them work his will. The image in the manuscript shows the star point up, inscribed on a ring. However, the direction of the point might be immaterial as it could be perceived either way. What was the source for this symbolism presented by Levi in this work? Scholars researching the sources for his writings might be able to trace this. As far as we now know, the first printed artwork for an image of A goat face in a five-pointed star appeared in an engraving on page 387 of the 1897 book La Clef de la Magie Noire, by French nobleman and occultist Stanislas de Guaita. The book was part of his multi-volume Essays de Sciences Maudites, which not only put forth some of his own occult ideas underlying his establishment of a group of Rosicrucians, but also served as a platform for his share of the accusations of Satanism that he and his enemies such as Labas author J.K. Huysmans and friends were publicly throwing at each other at the time. De Guaita wrote that he considered Eliphas Levi to be one of the greatest geniuses of the 19th century, so it is not surprising that he would take one of Levi's concepts and embellish it further. Levi mentions the demon Lilith in the above passage, and the De Guaita image incorporates her name into the graphic along with that of Samael. In different places Levi calls Samael both a white light genie of Mars as well as the Hebrew name for a demonic force. Levi makes no mention of Leviathan, but the De Guaita image is encircled by this name in Hebrew script. In describing the graphic, De Guaita only slightly expands on Levi and says nothing about Samael, Lilith, or Leviathan. After describing the point-up pentagram as a white light symbol of man voluntarily rejoined in the providential plan, De Guaita notes, but oriented in the opposite direction, the pentagrammatic star is nothing more than a symbol of iniquity, perdition, blasphemy. Its 2 points in the air become the horns of the foul goat threatening heaven, and whose head is framed with the stellar pentacle, with its low ears in the side branches, and its beard in disorder in the single lower point. Page 386. This engraving may have been taken from elsewhere, or it may have been created by De Guaita's secretary and assistant Oswald Wirth as noted below. Levi's description can also be seen as a clear influence in Paul Zago's Science Occulte et Magie Pratique, Paris. Editions Drouin, 1924, page number 172. As can be seen below, it is figure number 24 and is labeled the pentagram expressive of subversion. How the author came by this image is unknown to us. Note as well that the star itself is open, rather than composed of 5 alphas. Next we find on page 47 of the Handbook of Magic and Witchcraft by Charles W. Oliver, Ryder & Co., London, 1928, an appropriation from La Clef de la Magie Noire, shown below left. Oliver's book is highly derivative of prior works, and it is clear that he simply lifted the images from De Guaita, subtracting the surrounding circles and Hebrew characters. It is referred to in the text as the inverted pentagram of black magic, and is coupled with the pentagram of Apollonius, shown above right. The continued evolution of this goat graphic can be found in a 1931 book concerning Freemasonry by Oswald Wirth. Oswald Wirth, La Franc-Maçonnerie rendue intelligible à ces adeptes, Xime Party, Le Compagnon, Paris, Derry Levers, 1931, page number 60. In addition to creating illustrations for De Guaita, Wirth also wrote and illustrated a number of his own books on occult topics including the tarot and Freemasonry. His tarot deck is still sold commercially today. In La Franc-Maçonnerie rendue intelligible à ces adeptes, Xime Party, Le Compagnon, Wirth presented his own original rendering of the goat head and pentagram image and identified it as his own by discreetly including his AU initials just above the goat's head. The unadulterated De Guaita images reappeared in a book by Maurice Bessy, A Pictorial History of Magic and the Supernatural, English 1st edition 1964, French 1st edition, Histoire and 1000 Images de la Magie, Editions du Pont Royal, 1961. The graphic image in the Bessy book, English edition, page 198 under the heading Satanic Sciences, has a caption which reads, 624-625. Pentagrams are the result of obscure numerological speculations. The five-pointed star, for example, seems to be characteristic of the Christian era, while the cross is the symbol, amongst others, of the figure 5, 4 arms and the center. By a strange coincidence, the Holy Spirit, the United States, and the USSR and Islam use the five-pointed star as their emblem. The opposition of good and evil is indicated through the inverted triangles. The above illustration is to the right of this caption. As in all prior appearances of this and similar renderings, nowhere in this book is number 625 referred to as the sigil of Baphomet. For the actual cover of this hardbound book, an artist rendered symbol number 625, minus the words Lilith and Samael, and it was printed in white on the black cloth cover. It is very striking. during his years of research into the black arts. Anton LaVey had come across this book and added it to his collection. So when he chose to metamorphose his magic circle, the Order of the Trapezoid, into the Church of Satan, he decided that this particular symbol was the one which most fully embodied the principles which were the bedrock of the first above-ground satanic church. The pentagram, pentalpha, comes from the Pythagorean tradition. The goat's or ram's head within it refers to the goat of Mendes, a symbol of the Egyptian Neter Ammon, who was called the Hidden One, he who abides in all things, the soul of all phenomena, and is thus the closest netter to the dark force which is seen to permeate and motivate all nature. The two concentric circles which contain the word Leviathan written in Hebrew, starting at the lowermost point and moving counterclockwise, stem from the traditions of the Ophite, serpent, Jews, and this is the essence of the dragon of the abyss, descended from Tiamat, sometimes symbolized as an Ouroboros, serpent biting its own tail forming a circle. Thus, in one sigil, we find a confluence of several cultures' approach to embodying what we call Satan. It is this cover art which was enlarged and placed above the altar in the main ritual chamber, as well as above a lower-level altar, in the infamous Black House. That the original source for this symbol was the Maurice Bessy book was well known among the members who attended rituals at the Black House during our formative years. The book was constantly being perused by them, and was often used as a prop in photo shoots, minus the dust jacket which did not include this symbol. Anton LaVey never claimed to have designed the Bessy version of this symbol, as falsely stated by some of our detractors. In its early days, the Church of Satan used the version seen on the cover of the Bessy book on its membership cards and stationery, as well as on the medallions, which were created both by hand and by professional manufacturers. Indeed, there were many variations, based on the skill of the renderers as well as on the resolution for detail of the means used to create the final product. While the Satanic Bible was being written, it was decided that a unique version of this symbol must be rendered to be identified exclusively with the Church of Satan. The pentagram was made geometrically precise, the two circles perfect, the Hebrew characters were distorted to make them look more sharply serpentine and corrupted with time, while the goat face was redrawn with particular attention paid toward the eyes. The original highly detailed artwork was first used to create altar plagues which were available only to local Church of Satan members. Later, in February of 1970, they were made available to the general membership. This new version was then used on the cover of the groundbreaking LP, The Satanic Mass, 1968, produced by the Church of Satan. In addition to a recorded Satanic Mass, this LP included the prologue and Books of Satan, verses A through V from the then unreleased book, The Satanic Bible. The album's cover design was credited to Hugo Zorilla, a pseudonym used by Anton LaVey for some of his artwork. The liner notes, attributed to Franklin Kincaid, say that the satanic symbol, Baphomet, was adopted from the Knights Templar. This symbol was finally widely released to the general public in December of 1969 with the publication of the Satanic Bible, where it adorned the cover and appeared on the interior page introducing the section detailing the satanic ritual. And, significantly, here in this book was the very first time that this sigil was referred to as the symbol of Baphomet in any publication available to a mass audience. It was this version which the Church of Satan then had made into cloisonné medallions, which were only available to members, and it became the standard logo for all Church of Satan materials. We began calling it more precisely the Sigil of Baphomet, and so it was named in print in the Satanic Rituals, released in December of 1972. It should be noted that this version is a copyrighted graphic which belongs to the Church of Satan alone. We have the legal right to place the symbol next to this rendering, should we care to do so. The Church of Satan did file for 1981, and then received 1983, a trademark, which protects the use of the sigil of Baphomet with the words Church of Satan. The Church of Satan therefore has the legal right to place the symbol meaning registered trademark next to this combination of symbol and words. This trademark also prohibits anyone from using something similar in combination of name and symbol, which could constitute an illegal dilution or blurring of the trademark. Current trademark laws are now in flux regarding this issue of trademark blurring the use of marks similar to existing trademarks, but they are moving in the direction of favoring the forbidding of marks that could be considered misleading in any way, shape, or form. Anton LaVey authorized Hell's Kitchen Productions Incorporated to produce a sigil of Baphomet medallion, and so a minor variation of the church's official sigil of Baphomet was created, in which the Hebrew characters between the circles were no longer outlines, but filled in, a minor change. This rendering is also protected by copyright.